I am what you call Aboriginal American. We are the first people of this landmass. People didn't come from Africa in these massive boats. That's a fairy tale. To celebrate Thanksgiving would be like asking a Jewish person to celebrate Hitler's birthday. African people are okay, but my people are winning. Like KFC and Popeye, we have the same skin, but we different chicken.
How should I address you?
Well, for purposes and sense of this interview, you can address me by my tribal name. I am Walking Thunder. However, my DBA is Dave Edward L.
Now, Walking Thunder, are you Native American?
I am what you call Aboriginal American. We are the first people of this landmass. This is who we are. We are the copper-colored people who were found here by the Europeans. If you really want to know what the real American Indians are, we're the copper-colored people.
Okay.
You take a copper penny and put it to the skin, and if it looks like it, that's who we are.
Can you tell us about your tribal affiliation?
Well, I am American Indian by blood, not by boat. We came here from the ground. We were always here.
Now, what do you mean by boat?
Well, if you know the so-called Atlantic slave trade, it was actually done in reverse. People didn't come from Africa in these massive boats. That's a fairy tale. You can't put 400 people in a boat chained up and sail them across the Atlantic Ocean. That never happened. But what did happen, they took American Indians from here and they put them in the Caribbean. They put them in Europe. They put them in Africa. And what happened was they caused so much trouble that they actually brought them back from Africa here. So the whole Atlantic slave trade that we know of was actually done in reverse.
So where are these boats?
Well, they said that 12,000 people allegedly, they said 12 million people allegedly came from Africa here on wooden boats. And that's virtually impossible. I mean, who built these boats? What were they made out of? And where are they now? Now, about 40 years ago in the Mediterranean Sea, they found Caligula Caesar's floating treasure palace. That ship is BC, before Christ. When we had Hurricane Sandy here, a Viking ship actually raised up in the Mississippi River.
Oh, wow.
That's the 1300s. That's a little before slavery, all right? Those ships are here. Have you ever seen one person who said that they seen a slave ship? And we're talking about millions, 12 million people, so there have to at least been some of these ships left over. If it really happened, those ships would be in Coney Island right now.
What misconceptions or stereotypes do media perceive Native Americans to be?
Okay. The people who they're calling American Indians are not us. They are basically the Mongolians who came down during the Bering Straits. They were merchants. They were very good people. And what happened was they stayed. They wanted to stay. We gave them some land, and our sons married their daughters, and they became assimilated into the crowd. So the misconception is when the Europeans came here and they started dividing up, they said that you guys are Africans, you guys must be American Indian, and they started carving things out. So you have a lot of people who are holding our traditions and our culture, but they're actually not us.
Now, is there anybody in the music industry that could be possibly Native American?
Well, there are a lot of people who are American Indian. I don't like to use the term Native American.
Okay.
I rather use the term Aboriginal American because it's this whole color thing, the copper-colored people. For example, Queen Latifah, whether she knows it or not, Queen Latifah, you are American Indian. Nelly, whether you know it or not, you're American Indian. There also was a person that I think you know. His name is Russell Tyrone Jones. He's actually he was from Staten Island. He was from a rap group out here called the Wu-Tang Clan.
Okay,
He's known as Old Dirty Bastard. Well, his grandfather was the chief of the Shinnecock Nation in Long Island. So, if that's not American Indian, I don't know what is.
How do you feel about Pocahontas?
Pocahontas' story was actually tragic. It's a tragedy. It goes to show you about the abuse of people coming into contaminating culture. A lot of people don't know Pocahontas was only 16 years old when this guy John Smith, or whatever his name was, married her. He actually murdered her. He took her over to England and they killed her. She came back dead. She was only 16. She was a child. Her skin was about my complexion. Disney and all of these pixels or whatever they are misleading. I don't know what it is. We call it whitewashing. They're actually taking people and trying to make them lighter and lighter. This goes way back with this guy Charles Darwin and eugenics and all of this. It's pseudoscience. It's not real. This is something that's made up.
Have you ever lived on the reservation?
Myself, no. I haven't. I'm basically from Brooklyn, Bedford-Stuyvesant. I'm out in Long Island. I have tribal cousins that live on reservations and stuff like that.
How does historical trauma affect the mental health of Native Americans, and what support systems are in place?
Well, you gotta understand, the reservations now are not what you see on TV. They're basically like projects, and what they do, they pump them full of drugs and alcohol to destroy the people from within. Believe it or not, there's a continuous conspiracy behind the destruction of our people. And the reason being is because, there's new information coming out all the time. Just like it was thought that the people from Al-Kebalan, which you know as Africa, are the oldest people on the planet. That now has been challenged because we have new information. If you Google a person by the name of Albert Perry from South Carolina, he holds something that's called the Y chromosome. His genes are some of the oldest on the planet, surpasses those found in Africa. They say the oldest humanoid fossil remains was called the Lucy skeleton. She's 3.5 million years old, found in Africa. Well, they found the skeletal remains here in the Grand Canyon of a woman that predated that.
Wow.
And the Smithsonian Institute took the remains and dumped it in the Atlantic Ocean. Now, I've worked in a number of museums. I've worked in the Brooklyn Museum of Art. I spent many years at the American Museum of Natural History. Going over their exhibits is very painful. It's very hurtful to see people taking our identity and just copying and taking our stuff.
Now, what role do you play as a Native American in today's society? And my apologies, how do you like to be addressed again?
American Indian.
Okay, American Indian.
Or Aboriginal American.
Okay. So what roles do you play in today's society? Well, how do you keep your tradition alive, basically?
Well, collectively, it all boils down to now keeping it traditions done in your family. With technology coming in, we have another inherited problem. The problem that's going on nowadays is technology is surpassing humanity. So people are getting so technical with stuff now. We are losing the human fabric of things. So I make sure I keep customs that were traditionally handed down from generation to generation, and I teach my children.
How do you feel about Thanksgiving and the transition to Indigenous People Day?
Okay, well, asking an Aboriginal American to celebrate Thanksgiving would be like asking a Jewish person to celebrate Hitler's birthday. It's highly offensive. However, we use that time to give thanks for our family and give thanks of the harvest that we had. The first Thanksgiving is really not what you think it was. The European pilgrims that came over here were starving. When my ancestors found them starving, they were actually digging up, eating their own corpse. They were eating dead people. So there were some of my people, we rolled pumpkins down and tried to feed them and bring them back. You have to understand that for some reason beyond my knowing, my people are the one people on the planet that seems to be trying to being destroyed by everybody. I mean, how great a people do you have to be if you have the whole world against you? I mean, it's everything. Or for example, a lot of people think that, I don't like to use the term black, so I use melanated. Melanated Americans are not Africans. They may look similar to us, but we are not the same people. I'll put it to you this way. African people are okay, but my people are winning. Like KFC and Popeye, we have the same skin, but we're different chicken.
Now, do you have any poetry you want to share? Something you wrote? Something from the heart?
Well, sure.
Okay, let's hear something.
The name of this poem is called Little Lost Soul. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Little lost soul, you were broken off from part of the whole. Little lost soul, you were taken and promised gold. Stolen from the motherland, forced to work the other man's plan. Worked in bondage to till his land, from sunup to sundown, but who gives a damn? Your native tongue taken from out of your mouth. Your spouse and your children sold from out of your house. Facing death and danger is a daily risk, but hundreds of years later, you've managed to exist. No more chains for now, they seem to let you be. Silly little lost soul, can't you see you're still not free? Little lost soul worked hard day and night. Little lost soul stood up and marched in civil rights fights. Lost in the wind like a stringless kite. Keep your dreams and your needs near in sight. They told you that integration would be the solution, but it's merely just the illusion of inclusion. Little lost soul continues to be used. Little lost soul is yourself you abuse. Peace.
Walking Thunder, that was incredible. Thanks so much for coming.
Thank you, sir.
And I hope to see you soon.
Thank you. Thank you. Peace and love.